And we are live. What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to another edition of Respect the Craft. This is episode number 261, and I'm joined by a whole lot of dude. Crash Jaxon, what's going on, brother?
What's up, Ray? How you doing, man?
I'm doing great. I'm doing great. A lot better now that we're finally here chatting it up as we're kicking off Revolver Week. What a better way to start it. We got to talk about the man just making his comeback here finally. A surprise return at another Friday. But before we get into all of that, though, because we have a lot to discuss when it comes to that, I have to ask you the question as everyone that comes on, and you heard the name of the podcast. It's called Respect the Craft. So for you, when you hear that term, the craft, what does that mean to you?
It means to me just like respecting like the people that's done this before you, and like you what you get out of this business is everything that you put into it, honestly. Because like if you're not going to put much into it, you're not going to get much out of it. And so I feel like whenever those people do not put in enough, but they still want all the stuff from it, they're not respecting the craft of doing what you're supposed to do, you know?
Not you know, definitely so. Again, this is one of the main reasons we do this. Again, show that respect for those that have paved the way and continue to pave the way for us in the business. So,
Absolutely.
always. But speaking of that, now we have to go into this side of it. Of what was it for you that made you decide you have to get into the craft? What was it that made you that it's not just a, you know what, I'm a fan of this. This is a hobby to watch. This is something I have to step through those ropes. What was that moment for you?
So I gained my love for professional wrestling. Like I grew up in the '90s. I was a '90s baby. So witnessing the Monday Night Wars and all that, and that was like the one thing that me and my dad would bond over. Like we both like sports and stuff too, but like wrestling was like what really was like our thing. And I remember just like watching with him like every Monday night we would flip channels whenever there'd be a commercial, because like we liked wrestlers that was both on WWE and WCW. And just like it was like the first thing that I remember that like really caught my eye, like I want to do that. And I don't really have like an exact moment in time where like, because like you hear stories where people talk about things like that and they're like, I remember it was like I was watching this match was going on, whatever. Like for the life of me, like I don't really have like that moment. I feel like it could have been just maybe like the first time I ever saw it, and like maybe that's why I didn't realize that's what it was.
Gotcha.
But like just, man, it was the first love, man. It was the first, everybody's that first love hits you way harder than anything. And that was professional wrestling was my first love.
Got you. So now from that though, because it's one thing, like we said, we always have that, especially when you catch it, when you get that love for it as a kid. What was it for you that when you're getting older, now you're like, you know what? No, this is serious. Like this is something I actually want to do. What made you finally click that it's like, I have to find a way to get into this now. Find a school, find the right way to actually get into the craft here.
Well, so I went to college originally and to play football, and that didn't pan out, the way I wanted to. Like, stuff happens, no big deal. Life moves on. You gotta find something else to do, and so I was just going. I wasn't playing anymore. I was actually coaching football and still going to like community college, and you know, I needed some sort of like physical outlet because I've played sports my entire life. Like I needed an extra reason to go to the gym other than just going to the gym. So like, because like I was fresh off of playing like football in college and all that. So, and plus I'm like coaching it too. So like I'm around it, like we're in the gym all the time. So like I need, let's put this strength to use. And then a buddy of mine, I went to high school with, we'd known each other for like 20 years. someone told me that he was wrestling, and I was like, "There's wrestling around here?" Like, because like I didn't know anything about like wrestling schools whenever I first like really
Gotcha.
like sunk my teeth into it. I had heard of like I knew about OVW,
Okay.
but that was just from watching like WWE and like whenever they were doing all that, like when Randy Orton and Batista and Cena, all those guys came, like that's whenever everybody learned about OVW. But like
Yeah.
that wasn't like I thought there had to be like a special way to be able to get into it. I didn't
Yeah, it's
know
one
it's
of those
like
that it feels like, oh, that's because they're there that it's like they get that, but it's not a, you know what? I can
yeah,
just
like
sign up to be a part of OVW. Yeah.
yeah, like most of the guys like were former football players or like high level, like even like collegiate or high level professional athletes in other sports, and like that's kind of like how I thought that would be your only way of getting into it,
Gotcha.
because
Gotcha.
I wanted to play professional football, like I wanted to go to the NFL, and then I was like maybe if I'm done with that, maybe I'll try to be a wrestler then. So like it's always been in the back of my mind, just like I never knew that you could just go to a wrestling school. Uh, but my buddy, I hit him up and I was like, "Hey man, like I heard you're wrestling, like I want to get into it, like what am I gonna do?" And he was like, "Come with me to the next show that I'm doing. I'll introduce you to everybody and all that stuff. You know, help set up and tear down. You know, the pay right off the rip,
I,
paying dues and stuff like
I was
that."
about to say like
So,
instantly paying dues
oh
as
yeah,
best way to
absolutely,
start.
and
Best way to start.
that was the first time I ever got to see like wrestling live. Just because like we never really had the opportunity growing up as a kid. Like I didn't go without, but we didn't have like a lot. We
Gotcha.
were okay, sort of thing, and like nothing wrong with that. My mom busted her ass to take care of 3 kids. You know, all the love to the mamas. You know that be
Always,
doing
always.
that. Um, so like there never really had the opportunity to like, hey, let WWE's going to be in Lexington at the Rupp Arena. Let's go and watch there. No, we didn't. We like never got to do anything like that. So that first indie show was the first time I'd ever seen wrestling live and in person.
Gotcha.
And I was like, these guys can do that. Look, I'm in way better shape than those guys. I can do this. And then that's kind of how it started. I was I was hooked after that. Just like going and being like behind the scenes, setting the ring up and all that had me immediately.
No, I can imagine, especially once you're there, that it's like seeing how real it is at that point. That you're right
Yeah,
there. You see how close it is. It is the deeper atmosphere of like being at an indie. That it's like, okay, this is possible. Like
yeah,
instead of
absolutely.
the larger scale when you're seeing from TV, it's like one day, but you see this, you're right there that you can feel it. Especially you're paying
Mhm.
dues day one. They're like,
Yeah,
okay, so this is what this is about. Like,
yep, yep,
so
absolutely. And it like you're like at indie shows, especially like a smaller like indie promotion that I was at in my like local like area of Eastern Kentucky. Um, they ran like once a month, and like these guys like they weren't like no like Triple H's or Shawn Michaels or Undertakers or anything like that. But like a lot of the guys that were there, just the indie journeyman type thing. They do it because they love it. I don't know like what their career aspirations were or anything like that, but like they were still putting in the work. Showing up every weekend or however often they wrestled themselves. Just to put on the best show they can and like go back to the regular day job on Monday, whether you're a teacher or one of the dudes I used to wrestle with, he was like a EMS like driver and stuff like that. So like
gotcha.
he worked in long hours driving an ambulance, and he also was like volunteer fire department. I'm like, bro, how do you have time?
No, when I
But
hear
yeah,
that, because that's always the thing. It's still the true passion for it. That it's like, no, I can do all this, I can do this, but I still this is something I need to be a part of. So that's always awesome when you hear those. It's like, no, man, that's the
yeah,
true respect there. That it's like being able to manage all that and still get the craft in there. But go to the
absolutely.
chat for a second here. We got the good brother Smiley in the chat. Good evening. Good evening. What's going
Good
on, Smiley?
evening.
But so from there, then we get into finding some form of training there. For you then, if you do have the moment, what was it that when it clicked that it's like, you know what, this was the right choice though? Finally finding that it is possible. Did you have that moment that just clicked like, you know what? It's time to keep going and keep pushing to this journey that you've chosen.
So there's been like a few like different like moments throughout my career where it's like something happened. It's like it like kind of lit up a different light bulb, and then this next moment it lights up a different light bulb.
Gotcha.
Uh, and like the first ever match that I had, I wasn't supposed to wrestle that night because in Kentucky they have a commission. So in Kentucky you need a license to like
Okay.
wrestle or referee or anything. Like if you're inside the barricade during the show, you have to have a license,
Gotcha.
sort of thing. So um, me and my old roommate Gary, we worked at the same place, but we were also no, I'm jumping ahead a little bit. Sorry. We
All
both love
good. All good.
wrestling. We both love wrestling, and uh, me and him ended up like being roommates like later. But we both were like training and stuff like that. We had been maybe 6 months of training, but like the promotion didn't like have a school. They were just like an indie promotion, and like guys would get like a little bit extra ring time in like before the shows or something like that. So like I was only getting like maybe 2 hours of training once
Gotcha.
a month for 6 months, and then I had my first match. Um, but like the thing with the indies, like there was people that canceled or didn't even show up or whatever,
Yeah.
and so like there was supposed to be like a 6 or 7 match card. There were four of the regular guys there, uh, a valet, and then me and my buddy Gary, who were trainees. That's all they had to try to fill in this 2.5 hour gap of a show that they've booked for this venue. And so basically, some of the older guys, they worked like 3 or 4 times that night. I didn't even have wrestling gear yet. I was still
Oh,
just like,
I was gonna say at least it's one of those where hey, you learned the lesson of bringing your gear. So you still don't even have gear at this point.
yeah,
It's
like
just
yeah, like
a
I
thrown into the deep end, basically.
yeah, like and it was just because that my license was it was like registered online, because then it was like such a long process to get it like to push through to say
Yeah.
it's like okay, you're good to go. Mine just so happened to be the one that did, because my buddy Gary's his wasn't online yet. So then they're like, okay, you're wrestling Zodiac. Uh, and I was like, I don't even have gear. And Zodi's like, here, he let me borrow like one of his spare singlets.
Okay.
Like, I don't even have proper wrestling boots or proper like wrestling knee pads, like nothing. Like, I have like those hex pad McDavid like elbow and knee sleeves that, and like a
Gotcha.
pair of all black LeBron tins.
Hey, at least it was the all
And the
black. That it's like you know what, it kind of
Yeah,
it kind of works.
it
Like
kind of could look like a wrestling shoe. Maybe you might could
yeah.
pass it off as a short boot or something. But yeah, like I wore basketball shoes. I didn't even have like I hadn't even come up with like my name yet.
No.
I'd been like I didn't think I was close enough to have a wrestling match yet to
Of course.
even
Yeah. Yeah.
like have that thought like come through my mind. Like I hadn't even learned how to call matches yet or anything like that. Like could bump and run the ropes and chain wrestle a little bit. That
Gotcha.
was about it.
Oh man, that definitely. I can imagine it's a hey, we're gonna feel call as much and then just feel it in the ring at that point. Like let's make it work.
Man, the and like so I didn't come up with a name yet for that match either. So like I just picked the best song that I could pick out of whatever music they already had on the computer for the sound. Uh which was Tears Don't Fall by Bullet for My Valentine.
There you go. At least
I mean,
hey,
at least it
he'll
was
get
something
a
all
pop.
right.
He'll get a
At least
pop
it
at
was
least
something
for the
all right.
song.
It got all 30 of them really excited. But yeah, like whenever I came out on that first match, and I got the reaction that I did, and like this is the first time these people are seeing me. They're just excited to see wrestling, and
Got you.
so then it makes the job a bit easier when they're just happy to be there, excited to be seeing something entertaining, and like it was kind of that moment where I was like, oh, okay, this was a good decision. This is a real good decision. Yeah. And then they started like chanting for me. I was wearing a Animal Pack t-shirt, and it just said animal across the front of it, just because like I didn't have, like I said, I didn't have any gear, I didn't have any entrance gear or anything like that. So like I just put on a shirt that I had with me over it, and then they started chanting animal, animal, and I was like, yeah, that's me. That's me.
Hey, at that point, it's like, you know what? Well, we're gonna use this because I got no name yet. We're gonna work it.
Rocked with it for a little bit, and the the ring announcer announced me as the Golden Tank Rex Howard. She came up with that by herself.
So, well then,
I didn't have anything gold on. I was wearing a red and white singlet
with the black again. Like, wait, okay, yeah, that is. I guess that was yeah. You had to make it work at that point.
Yep.
Oh man. But no, and again, that is something where again, a moment like that, as hectic as it is, as just insane as it sounds, to have that moment of like, you know what? Here we are, though. This is what I want. Getting that reaction. And again, those 30 people, it makes it sound so much more though, because you know how intimate again that moment can be.
Oh, absolutely, like, absolutely.
So.
That was hectic. Was
it's an understatement at this point, but again, just
yeah.
talking about it now, it's like, yeah, it's a moment right there. But to go to the chat for 1 second again, we got Tyler in the chat saying, "Good evening, guys. Love hearing from Crash," and then we got Smiley saying, "Wrestled Crash once in a 6-man scramble. Would love to do some singles sometime."
Oh definitely. Yeah, I remember that. Man, that company don't even run anymore. Well, I would love always the best. Sometimes, Smiley.
Oh, there we go. The Golden Tank. Wow, that's it. Someone let Sammy know. That's gonna be on the graphic. That's a little.
Sounds like a cheat edit code you would get on 007. It actually does. It actually does.
Oh man. Oh. But no, man. That's awesome. But again, it shows like they say, it's the humble beginnings to then get to the Crash we see today, and just that journey of. Again, it's moments like that it makes these moments now even more just special, you know?
Absolutely.
So it's all about the growth, and then again, truly the journey of it all. But we get to that now from again that amazing name. How do we get to finding who is Crash Jaxon?
Oh man, I was just hanging out with one of my buddies, Justin. We played football together in high school, and like we still were friends like after high school and stuff like that. And I was like, man, I'm having matches now. I was like, I need to come up with like an actual name, because like I'm not rocking with Rex Howard, the Golden Tank. I'm not. I just wasn't feeling it. You know, it didn't feel right,
on, man. It sounds like it
didn't feel right. I might do like some sort of like throwback like t-shirt of the Golden Tank, Rex Howard. So that's in my brain now. That's going to be a thing. I'm going to get on that like immediately.
There you go, guys. So if you want to get yourself the Golden Tank coming soon to the merch store, there you go.
Oh yeah. But I was talking to Justin. I was like, dude, like I need to come up with a name. I'm having matches now, but like I'm not. Everything I'm thinking of is just, it just doesn't feel right. It doesn't feel me. It doesn't feel like authentic. And I kind of wanted to have like a 1-word name, kind of like Goldberg, Rhino, you know, like those, like Raven, you know, like all those like really popular like wrestlers who had like, they had one name and a boom. Like I wanted that because I really identified a lot with like Rhino and Goldberg and stuff like that. And so that's kind of like why I like wanted the 1-word name. And then from one of the guys that was like helping train me whenever I first started. He had told me like now, or at least at that point in time, it's kind of better whenever you have like first name, last name, because then you seem like an actual person.
Got you.
So then you could seem relatable to the fans, that you're not like some enigma or something, So then that kind of like stuck in the back of my mind whenever like we were just kind of like spitting out names, and he was just like spitting them out, and then he said crash, and then like it just that yeah. I don't know what to tell you. It just like hit me, I'm like, ooh, I'm like, that's it. That's my name now. It's Crash. And then like we just started kind of same thing with like the last names, and he was just like Spitfire and just a bunch of different like names that could be like Crash, whatever. And then he got to Jaxon, and I was like, oh, like it just it just feels like it goes together really well. And I was like, okay, I'm going to be difficult and complicated, and we're going to spell it differently.
I do have to ask though, when it comes to that, how many people have spelled it the other way? Even knowing again, booking you, having you like, hey, we want to get Crash Jaxon, and then they still spell it the other way on the graphic.
That it's been misspelled a lot. It's been spelled Jaxson. It's been spelled Jaxson. Like it's just every which way you could think that it's been butchered, it has. But then Uncle Bob, Brutal Bob Evans, he likes to call me Jaxon. He's like, how are you, Mr. Jaxon?
Oh god.
But that's just Bob, though.
No, yeah, that's hey, all love and respect, though. That's definitely
Uncle Bob's allowed.
Definitely so. But no, that's amazing though. Finding that, and then especially when it clicks, when it feels like, you know what, this works. This is it. This is who I am here. This is Crash Jaxon, and it works because I feel like something more than likely, more times or not, you still get the Crash. That it feels like you can get the best of both worlds. That it's like you have the two names, but you still have that time that it's just shortened to Crash. So
well, I mean,
it works out.
If you've heard my theme song, my custom theme music, it's just Crash. Like it's just my song just yelling my name at you.
There you go. So
for like
you
a minute and a half. It's in your face.
Hey, it's make sure you won't forget about it. That's what it is right
Absolutely.
there. So that's awesome. But from there, so now we get Crash Jaxon. We find that. How do we then get to the relationship of you learning under that Callahan Death Machine himself, Sammy Callahan?
So by that point, Sammy had left NXT and he was wrestling on the Indies again, and he had moved back to Ohio because he was living in Florida down in Orlando, and he was helping out train at the school here in Dayton, and I was looking for a way to like really take wrestling like even more serious, like actually pursue it like a career.
Gotcha.
Because like the first like 4.5 years I was doing this, it was more than a hobby, but I wasn't like chasing it like I am now. Like I wasn't like really trying to get at it to be like, I'll do this and make extra money and I enjoy doing it, but I'll still like do whatever my normal like 9 to 5 or whatever during the week. But then I went to a Ring of Honor tryout and like seminar. They held these like 2-day camps at the old Ring of Honor school in Pennsylvania.
Yep.
And whenever I went, there were at least 100 people there over this 2 days. So you're getting very limited time in front of every single coach that's there. And so like you gotta take full advantage of your small little windows that you're getting to show your stuff. And like as far as I'm aware, I was one of like the least seasoned wrestlers that were there, minus like maybe like a handful out of the near 100 or so. Because like a lot of the other people there were like, at that time I was like four-ish or close to it. But there were like people that was like 10, 15, 20 plus years into the business. And, you know, I went there not really having like too much. I wasn't like super confident. I was mostly there just to go for the experience so I could learn from the guest coaches.
I was going to say, I feel like it worked out in the way of,
yeah,
it was more of that learning experience just to get better. Cause especially 4 years in, it's one of those to take those risks, because I feel like you get more knowledge from that. And just even being around those, like you said, that had more experience, had those years under their belts. Like, hey, you get to pick brains, get to learn, and you come out better than when you walked in.
Yeah. And so like what really kind of like gave me like one of those other like light bulb moments that like I'm really going to start doing this.
Yeah.
I felt like I wasn't like the worst one there, given my least amount of time in and how many matches I had at that point. So like that kind of like gave me like a newfound like confidence, like, hey, I'm gonna really start pursuing this and take this like as serious as possible, like even more than what I was at the time. And so fast forward like 2 years or so, because that was in 2016. Yeah. And I moved to Ohio in the middle of the year of 2018. So I've been here for 7 years now, which is 7 years. It doesn't feel like 7, honestly.
No, yeah, time definitely flies though. It's insane.
Yeah, so the wrestle house, one of the wrestle houses in town, because there were multiple, had an opening, and I got to take in that opening, you know, and then I started training at the school, and then most of my time after school, I was with Sammy like more than the other coaches that were there.
Gotcha.
And so I had to relearn how to do some things, because my initial training, I didn't learn every single thing that I needed to, because, you know, the limited amount of time and all that.
Of course, yeah.
So like anything that was beyond what I'd already learned, I had picked up from just my travels in that time, or the different seminars and stuff that I've went to at that point in time. And it was like that, or self-taught, just from, you know, just trying to learn how to do new things whenever I do get the extra ring time. And yeah, I had some really bad habits. And so got my ass worked off to unlearn all those bad habits and learn the better, more polished like basics.
Gotcha. Now and again, it's something of being able to find something to fine tune and learning, understand me. I can imagine that's well, we're gonna make sure you do everything to, again, the best of your ability, get to where you need to be able to keep going and keep going on this journey, especially that point that you want to take this as serious as possible there. So that's awesome. Go to the chat for 1 sec here. We got shout out to my knucklehead fam in the chat. What's going on, Toe? We got Skills in the chat. What's going on? Salute. We got Normal Guy in the chat. And also, I was looking it up because I'm like, I could have sworn it was at what? I was trying to find where do I think the scramble happened?
Yeah.
And it was at what that you guys faced off.
That place was so fun to work.
That venue. I remember always seeing the venue, and I hate that I never got to make it.
The Fat Music Hall.
Yeah, that was like
other promotions run there.
Yeah.
Still, I think GCW's ran there a few times.
Yeah,
and
I remember seeing them once.
I don't know who else I don't know who else does. I have seen like pictures and clips of stuff. I just don't
Yep.
remember. I just don't remember the three letters of whatever
Yeah.
company it was right now.
It's always some letters. It's always
It's always some letters.
it's always a mixture of letters there.
Yeah.
But no, again, so we get that relationship. We start building that learning tree there. Um, but now we get to with the creation of Revolver there. How did that go into you making your way now under uh being under Revolver there?
So I mean, just like anybody, any like young, hungry green kid wants to do to like try to earn a spot on a show or get an opportunity, you show up, early, help set up, do whatever you can, do anything extra that is possible. You help during the show because you're there for work, you're there for a job that you would like to have. So don't you're not like goofing off and just watching the show, like you're trying to help run things in the back, or if they need a security guy for something, or if you, I've sold merch and I've sold concessions at Revolver shows in the past, and and staying super late helping tear down and making sure everything gets loaded and the building's clean and stuff like that. Like I did that for a long time before I got an opportunity to like even be in a scramble match at Revolver. But I am grateful for the timing of it though, because I feel like if it would have been any sooner, I may not have been ready for it.
Gotcha. No, again, and that's
And
one of those where you get that moment of just it all works out. It
yeah,
all begins the actual journey of it to get to when
yep,
it's the time is right.
yep. And it's like I'm glad it happened when it did, because if it happened any sooner than that, maybe I would have blew it. Maybe I would have shit the bed, you know. And then who knows if I get another shot. If I do get
Gotcha.
another shot, it's going to be at least the same amount of time, if not more, to be able to circle back around to get the kit to get to the front of the line. Because there's like always like, and I'm sure it's like this at like every, well, actually I know it's like this at every like other indie company, where like you have a slew of like extra people wanting to like help out and do what I was doing to try to get a spot. And so like if you shit the bed in your first one, you got to go all the way to the back of the line and then
Yep.
just work your way back to the front. And it's when you think about it like that, it's like, oh, I hate waiting in lines. It's so daunting,
It
And
definitely is
so
something like that. That it's like it's not just one of those where it's like, well, you get the shot and then, but it's no, it's in front of again a hot Revolver crowd that is.
yeah,
It's one of those where it's bloodthirsty. They want to see the best. They want to see how this goes, and that's what Revolver produces. And it's like, well, here we go.
and it's even more like bloodthirsty whenever like they don't know who you are.
Yeah.
It's like maybe they've seen you around at the shows, but they've never seen you wrestle.
No.
So then whenever you finally actually get to wrestle, they're like, who the fuck's this guy?
No, that's the biggest thing. Like I remember, shout out to the DWO, to the dads. They
Yup.
talked about seeing like the Alpha Sigma guys that did that. They paid their way, and then seeing them finally make it to the show, and
Mhm.
seeing them kill their opportunity. It's one of those where again it produces it, paying those dues, making your way, and when that opportunity comes, knocking you out of the park.
Exactly.
So we go to that, and now we get to this. We get to um the unfortunate scenario that I know this might be a little bit of a difficult conversation to have, but unfortunately the injury comes last year.
Yeah.
Can you talk us through, unfortunately, what happened and what the mindset when this moment occurs?
So it was September 2nd at Redacted Forever for Revolver. We were out in Des Moines, Iowa. I was in a 4-corner mayhem match with Zachary Wentz, Alan Angels, and Masha Slamovich. And, I felt really good about the match. Like, as we were like going out there for entrances and everything, like everything just felt good. Everything felt good. it felt normal. It felt like a regular. Where here's this dope ass Revolver show that we're on. Everybody's killing it tonight. The fans are hot. The fans are buying merch. Everybody's drinking and having a good time. You know, everything's good. You know, like nothing seems off or anything. Nothing feels out of the ordinary in any way. And so like we get into the match and we're maybe 2 minutes into the match, and Wentz and Angels shoot me off across the ring, and Masha is pulling the top rope down for me to go over, and just to go and spill out to the floor. And as I'm going over to like plant my right hand down onto the apron, my left arm, I'm trying to like grab the top rope just to try to make it like smooth as possible for myself.
Of course, yeah.
It somehow like my arm like missed me trying to grab the top rope, and my left arm hooked on it, and then that hook made me over rotated and ended up like landing like belly down, like I'm taking a face bump on my arm, like under me, just like this. And then I just felt a pop about right here in my arm, and I was like, "Oh shit, what was that?" In that like moment, it felt like time slowed down.
It's like one of those where it's
slowed
like,
down for me. I looked like no going through the skin, nothing like that, nothing like crazy gross like that. So I kind of scoot over to like the barricade because I got some time before I need to get back into the ring, and I'm trying to make a fist, trying to like squeeze, because like a lot of my offense is like grabbing and throwing. And
it's like you
all
need
that
this
stuff. I need to be able to grab, you know.
Yeah.
And I just couldn't make a fist with my left hand. And so Tussle was like standing like right here at one of the ring posts, and he's looking at me, and he thinks I'm just like selling. And I'm like, he looked me in the eye. He's like, "You okay?" And I'm like, I like shook my head, like no, but I don't know how he missed it. I must have, or at least I thought I shook my head. I felt in my mind in that moment in time, I thought I shook my head like, no, I'm not okay.
Yeah.
So then like I'm like trying to like hushfully yell at our ref, Cat. I'm like, Cat, I'm hurt, fucking hurt. I'm done.
Yeah, it's like it's over. I'm done. Yeah.
And then I finally got her attention, and she saw it, and she was like, oh, okay. And then I guess she like relayed it through the earpiece for the some of the other referees to come and like kind of walk me back or whatever. And I get to the back, and Sammy was like, why don't you just come back here if you were hurt? I was like, I wanted everyone else in the match to know that like I didn't just leave. I wanted them to know why.
Yeah.
It's like
that would have been a thing of like, wait, where does he go? Okay, he's gone.
Yeah. So at least like they can like, they're all professionals. They all know what they're doing.
Yeah.
So like they can like adjust accordingly and everything like that. Yeah. And so struggling, I got to the back. I was like, okay, I'm not going to the hospital in my wrestling gear. So like I get changed to at least into some like a shirt and like some shorts or something like that. And
doing this one armed basically is insane. Because
I'm holding it like this because like I don't have a cast yet.
Yeah.
Or I don't have a sling to hold my arm up. So I'm like forcefully making sure my arm's just staying like this.
Yeah.
And just like putting my socks in my. Good thing I wore slides to put my shoes on.
Yeah.
And then I went to the hospital, and they're like, both of them are broke, and I'm like, cool. Like that fucking sucks.
Yeah, it's like,
And it like the shock of it, like of what it happening, like it hit me, but like it didn't really like sink in until um we were coming back from Iowa, coming back to Ohio on the car ride, and I was like, shit, what am I going to do? Because I also had a regular job Monday through Friday, so I was like, oh god, what am I gonna do about that? What am I gonna do? I had more shows. I gotta do all this, and I gotta do this. Like, how am I gonna make money? You know, and it just like
yeah, that
hit
all
me in the
starts to now.
face.
It's the
Yeah,
domino effect now. Of like, wait, now we're here, and all this is going on. This is now happening. This is real. This is the moment. Because
yeah,
it's one thing when it's happening. It's like you get that shock, but
yeah.
then now that it's starting to wait, now all this, it's the domino effect of thought
All the
process.
real life stuff.
Yeah,
You're like, oh wait, that was a tough time coming through it. Uh, is this like like I said before, I played with sports my whole life.
yeah.
This was like the worst injury I've ever had. At, and I like strained my MCL in high school, but I like missed like 2 weeks of games. So like it wasn't anything crazy. Like I didn't have to have surgery. I just needed to rest. So like this was the first time I've had something like that serious done. And so like I didn't know how I would respond from it, like mentally, just because like there's still some things with it, like it's getting stronger and stuff like that, but like there's still like some like movements and things like that that still don't function normally and may never function normally. So
I,
like
I was gonna say
it's
how is because I can imagine again now the recovery process definitely a lot better, but it's still in that moment of you're still recovering even as we're getting ready for the huge
mhm,
hoss fight Saturday.
yep.
But how was that process for you? Just even getting to where we are now, just going through that. Was the goal was get back to the ring?
Yeah, that was it. But I didn't want to like every time I would see someone, if they hadn't seen me in a little bit, they would ask me, oh, how long till you're back, and or like you got a date, like
Yeah.
when you're gonna be back yet or anything like that. And I was just like, no, I don't,
Yeah.
just because I didn't want to like have like a point in my head of like, okay, we're gonna be good by this point in time, and then we'll be able to get back to doing things normal and wrestling and all that. um and if I in who I am as a person, if I had like kind of put that point like I'm getting there, um, I would have like did everything I could to get there.
Yeah, which again, it's
And
in theory, it's a good, but it's also forcing it at that point might not be the
it,
best either, especially with the type of
yeah,
injury as well. Last thing you want
yeah,
to do is, yeah, I feel okay. You know what? Let's do it, and then re-injure or anything of that nature.
yeah, yeah. And it was just like, will I be able to actually wrestle?
Yeah,
Like, like I could go back to doing normal life stuff, but like wrestling is what I'm here to do. That's this is what I'm supposed to do with my life, is be a professional wrestler, regardless of like whatever level it is. That's how I honestly feel. And I had a lot of doubts about it, coming like having this injury and then coming out of it with having two huge metal plates and like 12 like screws or bolts or whatever they call them in there. It's like, will I even be able to like function properly in the ring using my left arm? Or if I like, just so much uncertainty is like the best way I can put it.
no, I can only imagine. Again, just it gets a lot of. It's one of those things that you put into perspective of a normal injury, just again getting through that and just to be able to do normal life. But then, no, this is now to put my body again through the insanity of the bumps and doing everything of like a normal body anyway is not supposed to take it. But imagine now coming through that it's like now we're going back into that and let's see how this works. Once you are given the clearance of like, here we go, how was that process of like, okay, let's see if I can still do this? How was that feeling of getting back into a ring of just let's see before we jump into let's go into a match?
So bumping was weird at first.
Okay.
Just because like whenever you're first learning how to bump, and you fall back and you slap the mat. Like doing that, like slapping my arm on the canvas, like just made me like more hyper aware of like the metal that's in there, and like I felt every little thing. Okay. Like but it didn't hurt. It just felt weird.
No, yeah. It to me it just sounds more like gruesome.
Oh, it sounds way worse than what it is.
It's like and again, shout out to Swanee earlier. We're talking about screws and all that, and I'm just like, okay. To me, it sounds a lot more gruesome hearing it than it's like to imagine having to again just do that. That's like, okay, yeah. But now you get through that, and so now you get that feeling again of it. Then how do we get to the feeling of, you know what, I think we're ready here, or was it just a spur of the moment thing?
So like actually having a full blown match was kind of a last minute switch up. Originally, I was going to do a run in at some point and be like, I'm back. You know, that sort of thing.
Gotcha.
But then some stuff happened where Trey couldn't make it to the show, and then Sammy was like, hey, you're filling in for Trey in this match. I was like, what? It's like I've been back in the ring like 2-3 times maybe at that point. And I'm just like, I don't know. Like, and I've been going to the gym and like getting extra cardio in and stuff like that. But like, as much as you could do like at practice and like at the gym, it doesn't fully replicate.
Yeah, being
like,
in there,
full-blown match with, you get swept up with all the emotion and adrenaline, and then like you don't realize how damn tired you are until like the adrenaline wears off.
Of course, yeah.
Oh man, it was just
so, and that is. I was gonna make the joke. What? It's the golden tank moment again.
yeah, kind of, yeah, a little full circle moment right there. But just like,
it's hectic. Like, let's go. Here we go.
You know, I trust Sammy's judgment on pretty much like everything for the most part, especially when it comes to wrestling. So if he thinks this for me, or at least like in like giving me an advice, like, hey, I think you should maybe try this or maybe do this. Whenever I do try those things he suggests or gives me advice on, it's worked out for me every single time. So if he felt like, you know what, he's good to go at least to like do a 6-man tag. Like, I'm not going to be in the match the entire time. So, you know, I have, instead of one other like person I'm working with, I have several other people to work with. So it just kind of, we split the work, you know, we ration it out.
Yeah. And also it's amazingly talented people in there that it's like,
that definitely added pressure.
Well, I do want to, before we get into the match as well, I do want to show this clip right here so everyone just understands the insanity that was Another Friday.
What? No way!
Jaxon has not been seen since suffering that serious
four-corner mayhem match back at Redacted.
Also, much love to Phoenix Nitro, but ow, that in my ear right now was the loudest. But no, that emotion, you hear it just even through the clip of just how insane that reaction was.
And
Like,
man, the clips honestly don't do it justice on how
no,
loud it actually got in there. Like it was probably, it's definitely the biggest pop I've ever had at any point in my life. Like that was insane and also very kind of validating.
Yeah.
That like everything that I had done before I got hurt, people cared about me. They cared about my work. They hated that I got hurt. You know, they hate seeing like someone that they enjoy watching is now put on the shelf for a while. And so like getting that type of reaction coming back is just it's very validating and very humbling to know that people missed seeing me perform that much.
no, definitely. And again, it shows there, like we said, it's one of those where you just see how that Revolver crowd is, just how the loyal the fan base is, and they see that and it's just a warm welcome back and to see you back in the ring. And it's almost too poetic that two of the competitors in that match now on your side, on the same team, were on the opposing side when unfortunately when the redacted injury go, you guys get in there, you guys get that huge matchup, and then it follows suit to what happens now in the Haas fight this weekend. Because one of those opponents, though, were this man right here, Jake something. And we get to this huge Haas fight on Saturday at Cage of Horrors here, which usually I don't know what it is about Cage of Horrors. It brings just the biggest competition for you because the last Cage of Horrors, you're going in there in a dog collar match with Fulton, and now you're in this just meat slapping meat type of matchup here with Jake something.
You could definitely say that like Cage of Horrors is like one of our like, you know, like WWE has like the big four.
Yeah.
Like Cage of Horrors is definitely like Revolver's like one of the big four.
Definitely.
You know, and so like, you know, big shit's gotta happen. Big shit has to happen. You know, everybody goes a little extra harder. You know, it gets crazier and crazier, and it's all just to entertain the fans. You know, and that's the huge reason why we do this. It's an escape for us, and it helps everyone else escape. You know, all the dumb shit. So, Cage of Horrors is just like extra special. You know, it's just that's the best way I can really explain it, honestly.
Oh, definitely so. Definitely so. Again, you see it just with how stacked the card is, the reaction toward it. People are going insane about just, especially what Revolver has been producing, what it continues to create, and just keep getting better in all aspects of it, from just event after event, from the talent aspect to the production, and just the insane things that the whole team is doing. So, as always, much love to the whole team and roster at Revolver.
Oh, Sammy would replace the entire roster for like the greatest like production team of all time. We're all replaceable. Sammy's like, he's like, my wrestlers may not be that good, but like, damn it, they're gonna look good on TV.
Oh man, no, and I give him that because like when I had Tussle on here, we spoke about it. Just that production is always getting better. Like even when I see how Sammy edits in this, and I'm like, damn, I gotta get better at editing now. Like it makes me want to get better with
literally every time I text Sammy to see like what he's doing, to see like, hey, you want to hang out, or you want to play 2K, something like you want to go get some pho, whatever it might be. And it's us always working on shit. He's just constantly working on stuff, trying new things with like his editing and all that stuff for Revolver. And he also does like a lot of like stuff like that for TNA now.
Yeah.
And he does a lot of stuff for MLW as well. So like he's constantly got his hands in 3 companies. He's constantly on his laptop, constantly, or he's on his phone editing stuff on his phone too. So he's just constantly, and that's the reason. All that time he spends though is the reason why like Revolver and all of those, like a lot of their like newer stuff is starting to look so good.
Yeah. No, I give it to him, and like I said, it every time I see it, I'm like, yep, this now makes me want to just add something else, little things like this. Like even I love to do now the previews for the events of just doing something with the graphics, and I'm like, yeah, now I got to step it up because Sammy did it this way. I want to see if I can do it my way, like this. And just
absolutely.
Always little things like that. But as we start wrapping this up here, I have a little bit of a harder question that I've started to incorporate here on the podcast for you, for Crash Jaxon. If someone's looking to just find out who is Crash Jaxon, what is one match you would say that defines your career so far?
Definitely my Revolver world title match against Steve Macklin. And then another one to also see a little bit other out of me would be my match at Black Level Pro against Big Damo.
Ooh,
because that match kind of like started a shift for things for my wrestling career after that. And so like I definitely like that was like before this one, like so like the Damo match happened and like there was a shift and a turn, and then it all was like going all the way, led me up to that match with Macklin. It was amazing. I loved it. Like I got emotional afterwards just because like how like proud of it that I was, and just like the appreciation that the fans and even the boys in the back gave us like after the match was over. It's those would definitely be like the two, like those are the first two that come to my mind. Absolutely.
got you. No, that's perfect right there, and it works. That one of those is for that Revolver World title. Again, we'll see how this continues here. Now that you're back, who knows? Maybe that's up next with the former guest of the show here, Shelly, because I know the crew's doing their thing. So who knows? They need to watch out for
I'm
Crash
coming
Jaxon.
after all the gold, no matter who holds it.
There you go. There you go.
Might have to grab a tag partner too.
Hey, you never know. You gotta see what can happen. But before I let you go, one final question here for you, Crash, and that is for you. What is the end goal, brother?
Like everyone would say, like I'll be like WWE and stuff like that, which all of those are. But like if that never becomes actually like a possibility, at least to where I would like it to be where I'm like living solely off wrestling. Wrestling is like taking care of every single thing. Like that's like that's it for me, you know. That's like the main thing, regardless of whatever level I'm at. If it's paying for me to live and then also to be able to like enjoy my life, then it's worth still doing, at least, no matter how far along into my career that I'm in. Like if it's like 10 years down the road and I'm not like with any of the other companies or anything like that, if I'm still like living off of wrestling and I'm like living comfortably and I'm able to like take care of all my pets and all that, you know, and enjoy myself, then, you know, I feel like that's a very successful career, regardless of championships or anything like that.
Got you. No, that works. And again, that shows just having that respect for it, where again it pays off in the end, and it's that full circle of everything, of taking it seriously, taking this journey down, and truly getting there. And I know that I said the last question, but I forgot one more thing, because I know
no,
you were at one point big into streaming as well. Is that something you're still interested in as well, or has the time almost escaped you to be able to get back into the streaming setup?
So I was just actually talking about this. Someone asked me about my stream on Instagram this past Saturday. I did those little questions on my story, And I just had like a few of them, or people just straight up messaging me, "Oh, I miss your streams," and stuff like that. And initially, like this most recent time, well, actually, the last 2 different times that I've streamed and then stopped and streamed and stopped was just like my anxiety and depression was just like sucking all of my energy and like want to do it. And so like anytime like I had a stream scheduled, I just dreaded just sitting there, go live, and then fake this energy like, hey guys, what's going, I didn't have that in me, and I didn't want to fake it because I felt like whenever I'm on screen, whether it's for a podcast or if I'm streaming or if I'm in one of my friends' YouTube videos or if they see me wrestling on TV, like I want it to be me, not me pretending to be me. Like I want it to be 100%, 150% authentic Crash. So I hopefully do plan on coming back to streaming and stuff like that. It's just right now is getting myself more ready for wrestling. That's priority number 1. And then, video games isn't going anywhere.
No, definitely not.
I can stream and play video games until I'm 100. I can't wrestle until I'm 100. So that takes priority.
Of course.
And whenever I'm to a point where I have like everything is more in a good, stricter schedule, then I'll be able to find time to actually stream because I love streaming. It's so much fun.
Gotcha. No, God, I definitely want to get to that just a little bit and get into that. But definitely, I hope when that time comes to get back into it, you're able to find that love and just passion to keep going and finding the balance of it all as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, but no, Crash, thank you again so much for joining us here, brother. This has been a pleasure.
Problem.
And definitely we're looking forward to seeing you on Saturday going head to head with Jake something there. But to everyone watching, please don't forget as well to follow this man on all of his social media. Follow Crash right there on Instagram at the Crash Jaxon. Follow him on X at the Crash Jaxon right there. Make sure you're spelling that correctly, ladies and gentlemen. Spelling and everything right there.
Yeah.
Don't forget as well to follow the Pro Wrestling Revolver on all its social medias right there. Follow Revolver on Instagram right there, PW Revolver. Follow them on X right there at PW Revolver. And if you haven't already, make sure you get your tickets down below. Links will be in the description down below. As well, catch it if you can't be there in person on Fight TV Plus, now powered by Thriller, and catch a hell of an event in Cage of Horrors. And as always, guys, don't forget to be wise, be genuine, be real, be better people, respect the craft, and we'll see you guys on the next one.